You've been waiting for them. Yes, that one person who said they would never leave. The one who made promises that now feel like broken glass in your chest. The one whose silence echoes louder than their words ever did. And still, your heart keeps holding on, hoping for a sign, a text, an apology, some kind of miracle that would make it all make sense again. But God is stepping in right now to pull your spirit back from a place it was never meant to be trapped in. And He is saying, my beloved, stop waiting on them. Stop tying your future to a soul I have already removed from your path. Stop letting the memory of them rewrite your worth, because you are not abandoned. You are not unloved. You are not forgotten. You are being rescued, protected, redirected. And what feels like rejection was really my divine interception, because I saw what you could not see. I heard the conversations you were never meant to hear. I felt the intentions behind the actions that didn't match their words. And even when you cried out to me asking why it had to end this way, I was preparing something better, someone who doesn't just say they love you, but shows it every single day, someone who will cherish your spirit, not just desire your body, someone who won't be intimidated by your strength, nor will they manipulate your tenderness, someone who will see the light in your eyes as sacred, not something to compete with or dim. And I need you to trust me now like never before, because I am the one who heals what was wounded and restores what was wasted. And this time, I'm not just bringing healing. I'm bringing holy alignment. I'm not just sending a person. I'm sending a partner, a destiny walker, a soul mirror who will hold your hand and run with you in everything I promised. But I cannot release them fully while your heart is still anchored to what I had to tear away. Because what you thought was love was actually a lesson, and what you thought was meant forever was only meant for a season. And I know it hurts. I know it still wakes you up at night with memories you never asked to relive. I know the silence feels like punishment, but it is protection. It is me shielding your future from further heartbreak. And even if they come back, even if they say all the right things, I want you to remember this moment right here, because I'm calling you out of emotional captivity. I am breaking soul ties that were never blessed. I am cutting the invisible threads that kept your soul tethered to someone who cannot go where I'm taking you next. And I need you to release the idea of what could have been so you can embrace the reality of what will be. Because I see you crying over a chapter I've already closed. I see you replaying old conversations trying to figure out what you did wrong. But the truth is, you were never hard to love. They were just unready, unavailable, or unwilling. And none of those things disqualify your value. They only reveal why I had to remove them before your spirit was swallowed by self-doubt. Because I made you to carry light, not longing. I made you to build, not beg. I made you to be pursued with honor, not tolerated with indifference. And the person I'm preparing for you has been through fire too. They've been learning what love really means. They've been praying for someone just like you. And in the quiet, I've been aligning their path to yours, orchestrating divine timing, healing wounds you both never thought would. Close. And when the moment is right, it will happen suddenly, naturally, powerfully. But until then, I need you to unclench your soul from what was and make space for what is coming, because I will not allow you to miss what is next by holding on to what has already been blessed and released. And even though it may feel like emptiness right now, it is not the absence of love. It is the clearing of space for love that is real, lasting, and ordained by my hand. And I see the way your heart still whispers their name in the dark, like a sacred echo you can't silence. I see the way you try to distract yourself by keeping busy, scrolling endlessly, pretending you've moved on when your soul is still secretly waiting for their return, holding on to the smallest glimmer of hope that maybe, just maybe, they'll realize what they lost and come running back. But I need you to understand, not everything that once felt right was right for your destiny. And sometimes I let what you thought was perfect fall apart, so I could protect you from spending years in a life that was never meant for you. Because I did not call you to survive a love that constantly made you question yourself. I did not call you to wait in emotional limbo for someone who couldn't even show up for your most vulnerable parts. I did not write your story so it could end in almosts and maybes, in delayed texts and mixed signals, in temporary affection and permanent confusion. I am the God of clarity, not chaos. And while you were falling apart trying to hold on to them, I was preparing someone who would never make you feel like you're too much, too sensitive, too intense, too spiritual, too anything, because the right one will see all the things that others misunderstood as your divine beauty, not your flaw. And yes, I know it's hard to imagine someone better when your heart still feels bound to the memory of their laughter, their voice, the way they used to know your favorite song, or the exact way you like your coffee. But even if their presence once brought comfort, I am not asking you to erase them. I'm asking you to release them, to free them from the prison of your expectations, so you can free yourself from the cycle of disappointment. And this isn't punishment, this is preparation, because what's coming is not just a better person, it's a better experience of love. One where you don't have to guess how they feel about you. One where you don't lose sleep over what you did wrong. One where love becomes a safe haven instead of a battlefield. We're not made to fight for scraps of attention, but are celebrated like the gift you are, because I placed heaven in your heart, wisdom in your eyes, and fire in your voice. And the person I am preparing for you will recognize the divine in you, not be intimidated by it. They will pray with you, not play with you. They will cover you in truth, not confuse you with lies, and they will show up consistently, not disappear when things get real. And I know this kind of love may feel foreign because you've been conditioned to chase people who ran, to prove your worth to those who were blind to it. But that was never my design. That was survival. And now I am calling you into wholeness, into peace, into a love that begins with me and flows through the one I'm sending. And until then, I need you to walk away from the ghost of what was. I need you to stop checking their page, rereading old messages, replaying imaginary conversations in your head, because those habits are spiritual chains, and you can't step into divine partnership while dragging the past behind you. And I know they had a piece of your heart, but I'm a keeper of all your pieces, and I promise you I will never leave you halfway healed, halfway loved, halfway seen. I am a God of completion, of restoration. And if you would only trust me with the pain, with the confusion, with the fear of starting over, I would show you that. What's waiting for you is not just a person. It is a mirror to your calling, a vessel of my love, a partner whose very presence will remind you that you were never hard to love. You were just always meant to be loved by someone I chose, not someone you chased. And no, it won't look like the love you're used to. It will feel safer, deeper, more sacred, like something your soul remembers even though you've never had it before, because this time, I am writing the story, and you won't have to beg to. Be in the next chapter. And even though it hurts to let go of the dream you once built around them, the life you imagined, the wedding you daydreamed about, the way you thought they'd be by your side when you finally made it, it's not that I don't see your grief, it's that I'm pulling you away from something lesser, because your spirit was created to host something greater. And if you only knew what I have aligned for you, just a few moments ahead in your timeline, you would understand why this silence is necessary, why I allowed the distance to grow, why their absence is not rejection, but divine redirection, because I am not in the business of recycling pain. I'm birthing purpose, and sometimes that purpose requires pruning, separation, and even the discomfort of watching someone you love walk away. But hear me. I am not withholding out of cruelty. I am building you into the kind of person who will never again shrink to be loved, never again lower their standards to be chosen, never again confuse inconsistency with chemistry. And when you look back years from now, you will thank me for not answering the prayers you once begged me to fulfill, because the truth is, you were asking me to resurrect something I had already buried for your protection. And while your heart was busy rehearsing their return, my hands were already shaping the soul of someone whose presence will heal places in you that words cannot reach. Someone who won't be intimidated by your spiritual gifts, your calling, your fire, your Vision. Someone who will actually water the garden of your growth instead of pulling up your roots in fear that you might outgrow them. And I need you to understand that the enemy wanted you to believe that love always has to hurt, that it always comes with suffering, that you're too broken to receive real joy or too damaged to attract someone safe. But I am here to break that lie and show you that the delay you're experiencing is not because you're unworthy. It's because I am preparing something. Sacred and sacred things are never rushed. And while you're in this space between the letting go and the receiving, I am not leaving you empty. I am filling you with self-respect, with wisdom, with clarity, with the kind of discernment that will make it impossible for you to settle for less ever again. And no, you won't have to prove your worth next time, because the person I'm sending will already recognize your value without needing a list of your sacrifices. And yes, I know you're exhausted from always being the one who gives more, stays longer, fights harder. But what if I told you that the next chapter of your life isn't about striving anymore? It's about flowing, about receiving, about finally resting in a love that feels like me. Because that's how you'll know it's divine. Not because it gives you butterflies, but because it gives you peace. Not because it overwhelms you, but because it calms your spirit. Not because it feels like a chase, but because it feels like a home you never had. And even now, as you're reading this with tears in your eyes, wondering if this promise is really for you, wondering if you're the exception who will always be left behind, let me tell you this. You were never forgotten, not for 1 second. I counted every tear. I collected every prayer. I stood beside you on every night you cried into your pillow and asked me why they left. And I didn't answer then because I was working on something that needed silence to grow, and I needed you to learn how to hear me when everything else walked away. Because now when this new person comes, you'll know the difference. You'll recognize me in their patience, in their words, in the way they don't try to change you, but call forth the best in you. And you'll realize that the pain didn't break you. It built you into someone who can finally receive what I've been waiting to give. So hold on just a little longer. Not to them, but to me. Because this next season will not be built on recycled pain, but on restored promise. And it begins the moment you stop waiting on who left and start preparing for who's coming. So now that you've released what was never meant to stay, now that the illusion has been peeled away and your heart is raw but open, now that the final tears have cleansed the wound you kept hiding under survival and pretending, let me show you what I've been building behind the veil of your waiting, because I've been carefully, deliberately preparing someone who doesn't just want you, but someone who has been spiritually trained to cherish you, someone who has survived their own wilderness and won't be frightened by your fire, someone who has prayed for someone just like you, even when they didn't know your name. And while you were mourning the one I removed, they were being molded by my hand in quiet corners of the world where obedience was their answer and submission to me was their lifestyle. And now they are readying themselves to meet you not by accident, but by alignment, not through force, but through divine timing. And the moment you stop glancing back, hoping for a return, is the same moment the heavens unlock the door I've been holding shut until your heart was finally free. Because I will never give my most sacred gifts to someone still tangled in memories of what broke them. And you, my child, are one of my most sacred gifts. And you've spent too long believing that being chosen required performance, pretending, overgiving, or tolerating what I never told you to endure. But I say to you now, you will not have to beg. You will not have to chase. You will not have to keep bleeding to feel loved. Because I'm sending someone who will speak to the part of you that was never affirmed, who will love you in the language of peace, safety, consistency, and truth. And they will not run when you open your soul. They will stay when you shake from old trauma. They will recognize the anointing on your life and not compete with it, but protect it. And where you were once silenced, you will now be heard. And where you were once rejected, you will now be embraced. And where you once lowered yourself to feel seen, you will now rise into a season where your presence alone shifts atmospheres. Not because you became someone new, but because you finally returned to who you were before heartbreak made you forget, and I will restore to you the time you thought was wasted. I will repay you for the years the locusts ate. I will make your latter days greater than your former. And you will see that every delay was deliberate. Every silence was strategy. Every tear was seed. And now the harvest is near. Not just in romance, but in every area of your life that dried up while you waited on the wrong one. Because I don't just want to heal your heart. I want to elevate your whole life. I want your finances to be blessed. I want your health to be strengthened. I want your mind to be at peace. I want your purpose to be ignited again. And this person I'm sending isn't just a companion. They're a key. They will unlock dreams you buried. They will speak into your destiny without fear. They will hold space for your brokenness without flinching. And they will call out the version of you that I created long before the pain ever reached you. And yes, it will feel unfamiliar at first because you've grown so used to bracing for disappointment. But I promise you this time, it's not a trap. It's not a lesson. It's a blessing. And when it arrives, you'll understand why I kept saying no when your heart kept screaming yes. You'll understand why I delayed certain connections and rerouted others. You'll see how I was never punishing you, only preserving you. And you will rejoice not because they left, but because you now see clearly that what you were waiting on would have never honored the weight of your spirit. But what's coming next will carry you in prayer, cover you in wisdom, celebrate your calling, and mirror back the love you've always given everyone else. And this is the beginning of the chapter where you are no longer the one waiting to be seen. You are the one I am unveiling, the one I am positioning, the one I am blessing in public for what you endured in private. And no matter how quiet is felt in the spirit, I've been speaking over your name, orchestrating divine meetings, preparing the heart of someone who will find you at the intersection of surrender and obedience. So do not mourn who left any longer, because what I'm bringing next will make you forget what you even thought you lost, and you will testify, not that you got what you wanted, but that you received what only I could provide when you finally let go and made room for something better.